Today we're going to be working on our spring words. Last week we did a Nearpod lesson and we introduced you to a whole bunch of words that go with the spring season since we're in the spring. Today's learning target is I can identify spring words and use them correctly in sentences. So last in our Nearpod lesson, we introduced you to the whole bunch of words to put on a spring word list. And today we're going to read a book and see what words we can add to that. When we're done, we're going to ask you to take about 5 of those words and put them into sentences. Then what I want you to do when we're done with this lesson is on these nice spring days when you're outside enjoying that time with your family, I want you to look around for some of the words that you've just learned in these lessons and see if you use them in a conversation with your family. It's a really great way to practice. I hope you're all enjoying the beautiful spring weather that we've been having, and I will see you soon. Bye! Let's review some of the words that we have already learned that relate to spring. If you look at the chart here, it says spring, bee, frog, ladybug, butterfly, bird, egg, nest, sprout, flowers, grass, sun, sunshine, rain, puddles, rainbow, umbrella, mushroom. Let's read another book about spring and see if we can find some new words to add to our spring vocabulary list. Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to read a book called What We Do in Spring. And what we're going to do while we're reading is think about what we already know about spring and what are some of the words that we've already learned that are related to spring. Let's see if we can find some new words to add to our word list. What we do in spring. A wet season. Spring begins in March. Spring can be a wet season. Snow melts and icicles drip. We watch rain fall from dark clouds. Can you name the months of spring? If you said March, April, and May, you're right. Outside in spring, we wear raincoats and boots to play outside. Puddles form on the paths. We run and jump and splash. Do you see how they're wearing rain boots and splashing in the puddles? Puddles is one of the words that's already on our spring word list. We take a nature walk in the park. We look for toads in the woods. We look for frogs at the pond. We find turtles on a sunny rock. Good to know. Frogs spend time in water. They have smooth, wet skin. A toad's skin is bumpy and dry. We watch a robin build a nest. She carries grass and twigs into a tree. She lays eggs in the nest. She sits on the eggs to keep them warm. Look at those eggs. Aren't they beautiful? They're such a pretty color. And it says most robin's eggs are blue. So when you see a robin on the grass in the springtime or when the weather is cold but starting to turn warm, that's a good sign that we're entering into the spring season. Green and growing. Plants grow in spring. We see tulips and lilacs. Apple and cherry trees bloom. Tiny green buds on trees turn into new leaves. See the pretty flowers? The pink ones are the tulips, and the white flowers on the tree that she's touching there are the cherry trees. We buy seeds for our garden. We plant 1 row of peas. We plant 1 row of beets. We plant 1 row of carrots. How many rows do we plant? It says seedlings are young plants started from seeds. Wiggly worms. In school, we learn about worms. They wiggle and tickle. Worms are good for the earth. They break down dead plants and animals. Worms make space for roots to grow. You see the roots in this picture? Right over here, these are the roots. That's where flowers and plants grow from. And this is the wiggly tickly worm. Windy playground. At recess, we jump rope. We play hopscotch. The wind blows our hair. The wind bends like the treetops. It lifts kites up high. Good to know. Kites were invented in China more than 2,000 years ago. April is National Kite Flying Month. I think kite might be another good word to add to our list because in the springtime, when people first start going out, the weather is kind of windy some days, and so you can see a lot of kites in the sky. Spring can be fun. We decorate our classroom for spring. We make flowers, birds, and kites to hang on the walls. Words to keep. Animal, a living being that can move and breathe. Icicle, hanging ice that forms when dripping water freezes. What season do you think you might find an icicle on a house or a building? If you said winter, you're right. Nature. Nature is plants, animals, land, and the rest of the world other than what people have made. The end. Reading our book about the things that we do in spring, here's some of the important words I think that we should add to our list. March, April, and May are all months of spring, so I think those are important to add to our list. The other things that the book talked about were nature, and we start to see a lot of nature come back to life in the spring. We see flowers blooming, we see the grass growing, we see birds flying in the sky, and we see bunnies and all different kinds of animals. They spoke about the turtles and the frogs that we see in the spring. So I think nature is an important part of spring. So let's add nature to our list. They also talked about the robin with the pretty blue eggs. And a robin is one of the first signs that spring is here. It's a sign that the weather is warm. And then there's some flowers that grow. And one of those flowers that they spoke about in the book are lilacs. And you can see in the picture of the lilacs here that it's a very pretty purple flower. And it smells really, really nice. So that's another sign of spring. In the spring, we also plant a lot of seeds so that flowers and vegetables and things like that start to grow. And that was another word in the book that I think we should add to our list because springtime is a time for us to go out and plant those seeds. And I know some of you have talked about how you have been spending some of this time out in your yard planting a garden and planting those seeds. And that's really cool. And the word blossom is really important in spring. It's a word that you would think of when you hear the word blossom because it's all new flowers starting to grow and the little buds on the trees starting to bloom. So we call those blossoms. And then they also said that April is the month for kites. And in the spring, when you look up in the sky on a windy day, especially near the beach and things like that, you will see really pretty colorful kites in the sky. So I think that's a great word to add to our list also.